What's going on guys, Kade is here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the top 3 best level 60 builds for PvP and PvE in your world. So no matter if you are a healer, tank or DPS, you will find the best build for your class. And for each and every single build, I will explain what attributes and perks you want to have, then what gems and specific gear you want to use to get out of your stats the best possible results. Then as well, I will show you the best gameplay of me using different weapons, so you would know which abilities you want to use first on your enemies and much more. And of course, you can watch this video even if you're not a level 60 yet, but you want to decide on which build you want to level up or which are the strongest weapons at max level. So with all this said, let's get right into it. So then, moving over to the first build, which is the Great Axe and Warhammer. And these are the attributes you want to have. And just so you would know, this is the best tank / melee DPS build, and it is really good for PvP and as well PvE. So then, no matter from which level you start using this build, you first of all want to get your strength to 100 or even 150, and then start building your constitution. And around level 60, you should have 200 strength and 200 constitution. And then last but not the least, for your armor, you want to be in the heavy category, which means using all the heavy equipment plus a shield on your back if you want to get as many cool things as you can. But it's not required and won't give you any extra stats. So then for our first weapon, we have the Great Axe. And these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all, you want to unlock the first ability called the Reap and then get these 2 perks. Then afterwards unlock the second ability called the Charge and then get these 2 perks. Then from this point, now let's move over to the other side and unlock all these 3 perks. Then lastly unlock the last third ability called the Gravity Well, and then get these 3 perks. And now from this point, you're feel free to pick and choose which perks you want to unlock next. Okay, and now let's move over to the second weapon, which is the Warhammer. And these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all, you want to unlock the first ability called the Clear Out, and then get these 2 perks. Then afterwards unlock the second ability called the Shockwave, and then get these 2 perks to that as well. And lastly, unlock the last third ability called the Path of Destiny, and then get the next 2 perks to that as well. And now from this point, let's take a closer look at the left side and unlock all these 3 perks, and that's it. Now again, you can spend your points in whatever order you like. So then, let's move over to the gameplay where I will show you the best way to play this tank build and how to get out of your abilities the best possible results. So first things first, for your Great Axe Q ability, we have the Gravity Well, which you can aim and shoot, and if you hit a target in that electric storm, he will take damage and get stunned. Then the second ability is called the Reap, which basically extends your axe for 5 meters, and if enemy is running away, you can pull him back. And lastly, we have the F ability called the Charge, and this is another dash ability which will deal damage and give you more mobility. And now let's go straight into the Warhammer, and the first Q spell is called the Clear Out, and it is a wide swing that knocks back all targets in 4-meter range. Then our R ability is called the Shockwave, and when using the spell it will give us the ability to slam down the hammer and create a small earthquake, and all players standing in this will get stunned for 2 seconds. And lastly, we have the F ability called the Path of Destiny, which creates a huge electric wave, and all enemies standing in this path will take a bunch of damage. So the way you want to attack a player is by using your Great Axe and then activating the Gravity Well, and then follow that up with the Charge ability. Then when the enemy is out of all of your stuns, he will probably try to run, so use the Reap ability and pull him back. Then now switch to the Warhammer and either way use your Shockwave and Path of Destiny, and just keep on using heavy attacks plus the block, so you do 1 to 2 heavy attacks and then block in between. So like you can see with this build, there is no one best way to use your spells. The most important thing is to know what each ability does, and with time and practice you will know what to do in each situation. Then my first step for this build is if you're fighting against another melee player, then like I said, use 1 to 2 heavy attacks. And then in between, remember to use the blocking system. But if you fight against a ranged player, then don't forget to use the heavy jumps. And to reach a player, don't just run into a straight line, but try to run from one side to another. And this will make you a lot harder target to hit. Okay, and now for my last and final conclusions for this build. This Great Axe and Warhammer weapon combination right now is super good, and as you're using a heavy armor you can still survive for very long, but at the same time deal bunch of damage. So then last but not the least, for your Warhammer and Great Axe for PvP, use the Opal Gem, and for the PvE, use the Carnelian Gem, and then for all of your gear, get the Diamond Gems. So if you're looking for a tank build that does still a lot of damage and can survive, then this is the build for you, so enjoy! So then, moving over to the second build, which is the one and only Fire Staff and Ice Gauntlet. And these are the attributes you want to have. So first things first, no matter from which level you start using this build, you first of all want to get your intelligence to 150 or even 200, and then start building your constitution. And at the end game, always have this 3-to-1 ratio, so have intelligence 3 times more than constitution, and around level 60 you should have 300 intelligence and 100 constitution. And last but not the least, for your gear you want to go with the light category, and the best setup is to use one medium chest piece and then the rest light armor, and this will place you at 12.7 kilograms, which is the closest possible weight just below the medium category. So then moving over to the first weapon, which is the Fire Staff, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock both these 2 perks, and then the first ability called the Fireball, and then get these 3 next perks. Then afterwards unlock the second ability called the Pillar of Fire, and then the next perk to that as well. And now let's take a closer look at the other side and unlock all these 3 perks. Then lastly unlock the last third ability called the Burnout, and then get these 2 perks. And now from this point you're free to pick and choose which perks you want to unlock next. Okay, and now let's move over to the second weapon, which is the Ice Gauntlet. And these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock all these 3 perks, and then the first ability called the Ice Storm, and then get these 3 next perks. Then from here, now let's move over to the other side and unlock this 1 perk, and then the second ability called the Ice Shower, and then unlock the next perk to him as well. And lastly, unlock the last third ability with the next perk. And now from this point, you're free to spend your points in whatever order you like. Okay, so now we have come to the gameplay, where I will show you the best way to play this build. So first of all we have the Fire Staff, and the Q ability aka the Burnout is a big dash spell, which you can use for mobility, or if you hit enemies while dashing they will take extra burn damage. Then the R ability is called the Pillar of Fire. I usually use it only on groups of mobs or players, but never in a 1v1, because it will deal decent damage but you have to stand still for a second while casting the spell. And by doing that, you become an easy target to hit, so basically only use the spell against multiple players. There is of course a way to cancel the animation by using the spell and right after dodging, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, so I prefer to save it for only wars or PvE expeditions. And then lastly we have the F ability called the Fireball, which is very powerful damage spell, and as it is an AoE spell you don't have to hit directly an enemy. You can just aim it at the ground where the target is standing on, and it will damage him as well. So now let's move over to the second weapon, which is the Ice Gauntlet. And your Q spell is called the Ice Storm, which all enemies standing in it will get damaged and slowed. And the more enemies you hit, the higher damage you will get. Then your R ability is called the Ice Shower, which when using will create an ice wall. And if mobs or players go through it, it will stun them. And lastly, our third ability is basically like an ice block, which by using you put yourself in a block where players cannot damage you. And of course you can go out of that ice block by pressing the same F key, or instead press the left mouse button and make it explode, and do even more damage to the enemies. So as far as your ability combinations go for the Ice Gauntlet when farming mobs or even players, the best spell combination to do is place the Ice Storm aka the Q ability on the ground, and then go Ice Block by pressing the F ability, and players or mobs standing in the storm will be taking damage every second, and you will be fully protected in the Ice Block. Then of course place the Ice Shower aka the R ability whenever you want to stun an enemy or run away from him, and this will create a wall which the enemy cannot go through. And then as far as your Fire Staff abilities go, use the Fireball and Pillar of Fire on grouped up enemies, and to run away from someone or even do more damage, use the Burnout ability and dash through them. Then lastly, this is your own personal preference, but there are 2 ways to attack a player with this build. The first way is to only use light attacks and try to spam them as much as you can. The benefits are that this will give you the highest damage per second, but the downside is that you will run out of mana a lot faster than normal, so you will have to use mana potions. And then the second way is to only use heavy attacks, and because of the perks we have selected, each heavy attack will reduce your cooldowns on all abilities, and each attack won't cost any mana almost whatsoever. So the question is, do you want to trade more mana per a bit less damage or vice versa? I personally only use light attacks, but for you I would recommend to try out both strategies and see which one you like the most. And with all this said, now let's go over my final conclusions for this build. This Fire Staff and Ice Gauntlet weapon combination right now is by far the best DPS / highest damage build that you could have in New World, and you can use it for PvP and PvE as well. And then of course, last but not the least, for the Ice Gauntlet, you want to use the Emerald Gem. Then for your Fire Staff, get the Diamond Gem. And then for your gear, amulets and everything else, use the Enix Gems, and that's about it. So if you're looking for the best and highest damage build for a mage class, then these are the weapons for you, so have fun. So then, moving over to the third and final build, which is the healer class. And for the weapons, you want to use the Life Staff and Ice Gauntlet. And these are the attributes you want to have. So first things first, if you start from level 0, you want to get your focus to 150 and then start building your constitution. But always have this 3-to-1 ratio. So if you have 90 in focus, have 30 in constitution, and so on and so forth. And around level 60 you should have 300 focus and 100 constitution. And last but not the least, for your gear you want to go with the medium category. And the best gear setup is to have medium helmet, heavy chest piece, light gloves, heavy pants and light footwear. And this will give you 22.9 kg weight, which is exactly just below the heavyweight category. So then moving over to the first weapon, which is the Life Staff. And these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all, you want to unlock the first perk and then the first ability called the Sacred Ground. And then afterwards unlock all these 5 perks. Then now let's go over to the other side and unlock this one perk. And then the second ability called the Beacon. And then get these 2 perks. Then lastly unlock the last third ability called the Light's Embrace, and then get these 2 perks. And now from this point you're for free to spend your points in whatever order you like. And now let's move over to the second weapon, which is the Ice Gauntlet. And these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all, you want to unlock all these 3 perks and then the first ability called the Ice Storm, and then get these 3 next perks. Then from here, now let's move over to the other side and unlock this one perk and then the second ability called the Ice Shower, and then unlock the next perk to him as well. And lastly, unlock the last third ability with the next perk. And now from this point, you're for free to pick and choose which perks you want to unlock next. Okay, so now let's go over to the gameplay where I will show you the best way to play this build. So first of all, you are a healer, which means that your main objective is to heal your teammates or yourself from a distance. So let's take this practice target for example, as one of your teammates. So for the Life Staff, your Q ability is called the Sacred Ground, which you have to point and select the area you want to place it in, and then cast it for a split second. Then the R ability is called the Light's Embrace, and it basically works the same way, just for a single target, and you can use it to heal yourself by pressing the control button and then activating the spell. And lastly, we have the F ability called the Beacon, which you can just aim and it places a huge healing on the ground. And if you target a player, you can attach the spell to him specifically. So instead of the circle being on the ground, it will be attached to a player, making the spell very useful in wars and in group content. And as we already in the previous build looked into the Ice Gauntlet, so I won't repeat myself the second time. But basically, if a player is attacking you, place the Ice Storm on the ground and then go Ice Block. Then if the enemy is still on you, explode the Ice Block like we already learned how to. And then place the Ice Shower ability, making a wall which the enemy cannot go through. And then as far as your healer spell combinations go, it is your own personal preference. Depending on the situation, use one or the other spell first. So for example, when you or your teammates are low health and grouped up, use the 2 AoE healing spells called the Sacred Ground and Beacon. And to keep healing your tanks or yourself, then use the Light's Embrace ability. And then of course, don't forget to use the Ice Gauntlet to deal extra damage on the side, or just to get out of a dangerous position. And now for my final conclusions for this build. This Life Staff and Ice Gauntlet weapon combination right now in my opinion is the best and strongest healer build, because you can use it in 1v1s, open world PvP, 50v50 wars, then even in PvE expeditions and much more. As you are a healer, you can always stay in the backline and support the rest of your teammates with all the healing spells, and then at the same time you can switch to the Ice Storm and deal damage or go into an Ice Block and get out of all enemy incoming attacks. Last but not the least, you use the medium armor so you could survive for a lot longer, and you still get that 10% increased healing plus all the other buffs we get from other perks. Then as far as your gems go, for the Ice Gauntlet you want to use the Ember Gem, and then for your Life Staff get the Diamond Gem, and for all of your gear use the Enix Gems. And to understand better healers and how to play them, check my healer video, and there you will learn why we are using the specific gems and how they make this build work very well. So in a quick summary, if you're looking for a very strong healing build that is very good in every single activity in the game, especially at level 60, then this is the build for you, so enjoy! And that's about it. So I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other good level 60 builds that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe, and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With all this said, you have an amazing day and I will catch you in my next video. So take it easy, peace.